Welcome to the February 4th, 2025 City Council meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is 7 p.m. Thank you all for joining us. First is our invocation. It'll be led by our City Attorney, Tom Trask, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, as well as the rights and needs of both the individual and our community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations tonight. This we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom? Next item on our agenda is our Oldsmar Open Forum. If you'd like a member of the city staff to follow up on a comment or a question made at the meeting, please fill out a comment card at the back table with your contact information and give it to the city clerk. Each speaker will be recognized once, and we limit it to a 5-minute comment on any subject that is not scheduled for a public hearing. The open forum will conclude at 7:30 p.m. If you have filled out a speaker card, please hand it to the city clerk. Filling out a speaker card is not mandatory, and you will still be given an opportunity to speak. When speaking, please state your name and your address for the record. And first, we have Stephen Cardinal. Come on up. She's making you do it.
Hi, I'm Steve Caldwell, 1910 Montego Court. I've lived in Oldsmar for 18 years. Me and my wife just started a new business, and we wanted to thank the people who helped us open it. We are the owner-operators of a new business, Bean Bus Coffee Creameries. You can find us at beanbus.co. We wanted to thank Mayor Saraki and his lovely wife, Paula, who came out on a cold, rainy day a few weeks ago and helped us christen our launch. We want to thank Sean Swager, who also came out to support us. I used to work for him. He was my former boss. I want to thank David McKinley with the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce for helping us rush through the chamber process so that we can get into Oktoberfest this past weekend. And I want to thank Brian Lodeker, who with Oldsmar Fire and Rescue, who came out and did our inspection so that we could do Oktoberfest. And Karen Beals, who pushed through the paperwork so that we can get into the BMX meetup next week. And I hopefully everybody will come out and have some coffee. So we have fine gourmet coffee. All right, but we also want to bring to light that there were people who worked against us to do this. Shortly after the mayor helped us christen our business, the city manager sent an employee out to chase us from our spot under threat of trespass on city property. So it seems that there is a code that is rather restrictive and very vague and ill-defined phrasing businesses such as mine, which is food trucks. Section 14.4.5 of the code defines a lot of different types of temporary vendor, from carnival tent meetings to the roadside fruit stands, and then it states that a permit is required. The only thing specifically prohibited is fireworks. Now, obtaining the permit to operate is the bone of my contention, because the code gives sole power to issue that permit to the city manager, who is apparently too busy to attend to such things. She didn't reply to my request for help. So she did have time to send a vacate order. So maybe hurting people doesn't take as much time as helping them. The code doesn't define the cost for such permits either, leaving the cost at the discretion of the city manager. The code even allows the manager to waive the fee, but from what I have been rumored to from other people who have food vendor trucks, more often than not, the fee will be elevated as to make the cost prohibitive, or it will be simply ignored and never replied to, much as my request was never replied to. So I'm here to petition the city council to step in and adjust the code for the betterment of the citizens of the city of Oldsmar. I wish to have the following items reviewed and refined by the city council. First item, section 14.4.5, uses, needs to define mobile food trucks. It currently says canteen, wagon, or truck, with no definition other than temporary use. Nearly every business in Tampa Bay uses a wagon or a truck at some point. So this proviso technically prohibits all lawn care companies, all mobile dog groomers, all delivery trucks, every plumber, every AC repairman, every mobile mechanic, everyone that operates with a truck unless they obtain a permit from the city 30 days prior to every appointment. We know that isn't happening. We know that doesn't happen, so that needs to be properly defined. Second item, section 14.4.7, fees. The fee for temporary use permit needs to be defined and not just an arbitrary number that the city manager decides to charge. This is a very unfair and biased method and has no place in modern government. Furthermore, the fees should be consistent with the type of use as to not put an undue burden on the business to make the venture unprofitable. Third item, section 14.4.2, permits. This section says that the temp permit comes from the community development director, but all further mention after that refers to the permits originating from and controlled by the city manager. These two roles seem to have a certain amount of overlap, but are not necessarily the same person. I believe Tatiana is holding that role now. I believe the power for temporary permits should be removed from the city manager, since she is obviously too busy to attend to those duties. And the temporary permit issuance should be part of the planning and development. That board and its directors should have the final say on what businesses are allowed to operate inside the city, whether it be fixed location or a mobile business. Fourth and lastly, I would like to request that the abandoned roadway known as Commerce Street to the east of City Hall, hopefully to be developed very soon, but for the time being to be designated as a free trade area for food trucks to gather and create a food truck court. Similar food truck courts currently exist throughout the area and are extremely popular with the citizens. There's one on Hillsborough Avenue just past the airport. There's one in Town and Country, and there's one on Live Mall Avenue. Food trucks are part of the new gig economy, much the same as Uber and DoorDash. There's a culture developing around food trucks. This is how people are working for a living these days. Forbidding these types of businesses is an old way of thinking and will have to be allowed sooner or later. Do it today or do it tomorrow. You will have to address it eventually. So why not dispose of the outdated regulations that are preventing private enterprise and let the people create business that make our city more colorful, vibrant, and flavorful for all of us? Thank you for listening to my request.
Thank you. Do you have something you want to give to the city clerk that she wants me?
I have.
Thank you. City clerk will hand that out to us.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming in. Next, we have Stephen Phillips.
Good evening, council members. Maybe I should have gone first. Anyway, my name is Stephen Phillips. I live at 513 Tangerine Drive in Harbor Palms. I've been there since 1984. I just wanted to come out here tonight and say that, it's easy to critique and criticize the city council and the city about different things, but it's a lot harder to come out here and praise the city council members and the city. I'm in a similar situation. I know you people are up there doing the best you can, and you have the best interests of the city at heart. Things happen, people see things differently. I just want to thank the city for responding to the entrance to Harbor Palms as quickly as you did. It looks so much better now, and I look forward to the completion of it, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It does look great. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the council? Come on up. All right. Oh, yep, come on up. Hi. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Rhonda Coy, 317 Country Club Drive, displaced to 501 Buckingham Ave, speaking for the Church of Oldsmar. I just would like to invite everybody to our Super Bowl this Saturday evening at 5:30. I know the Women's Club is having theirs in the morning, so you can eat soup all day long. It would be so great. It starts at 5:30, and if you want to bring a soup to try, we have testers through the whole thing. You get to vote on your favorite soup, and we usually have quite a few to vote on. So that's 5:30 to bring your soup, 6 o'clock, and come to the community church. We'd love to have you there.
Is there a donation or anything like that?
Oh,
or-
no,
Oh, wow, beautiful.
yeah, as long as you're there in time for the grace.
I love free soup. Thank you.
At the community church and right down on St. Pete Drive. Yep, and no donation, and there'll be desserts and breads and good party. And we have, this year we have Traygate. So instead of tailgating, you traygate. You're going to decorate your tray to carry all of your soup samples in because, so we have, somebody just called me yesterday and asked me if it could be motorized, and I said, absolutely.
There you go. Thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, thank you. I'm going to close the open forum. Next item on our agenda is the community minute, and that will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. So a copy of the community minute is in the back. The Oldsmar Historical Museum is open Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 12 to 4 p.m., or you can email libraryinfo@oldsmarfl.gov to schedule an appointment. The USA BMX Florida State Championship Series will be this weekend, February 7th through 9th at Oldsmar Sports Complex. The Public Art Master Plan Open House will be held on Tuesday, February 18th, 6 to 7 p.m. at the library. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is approval of additional new motion passes. Next item on the agenda is our consent docket, and that'll be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1, consider approval of minutes of the January 21st, 2025 council meeting. Item 2, consider awarding the purchase of 2025 Ford Escape to Duval Ford LLC for the pricing, terms, and conditions of FSA contract FSA 24VEL32.
Perfect. Thank you. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent docket? Then I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I got a motion. And how about-
Second.
Okay, all right, motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 3 is a legislative appropriations process update presentation, and this will be taken care of by our city manager, Felicia Donnelly.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I would like to introduce J.D. White, John David White, from Shoemaker Advisors, who's going to give a brief update.
Hey, good afternoon or evening, I guess, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So you've had a relationship with Shoemaker Advisors for 5 or 6, 7 years now. You've probably seen a former colleague of mine, R.J. Myers, in the past. He's moved on and doing other things, but I've been with Shoemaker 5 or 6 years now, and myself and our Tallahassee team represent you in Tallahassee. We also have a little bit of extra work in the local government in Washington, D.C., which I'll go through. But I wanted to come here and just give you a little bit of a preview of what's going on in Tallahassee. Also talk about the legislative process. I know you all are very involved locally with your state House and Senate members, maybe your local congressional delegation and city officials all over. So I know you know this, but I also thought it's good to just have a little refresher on where we are with our state appropriations right now. So Shoemaker, as you probably know, is a bipartisan lobbying firm, but we're also one of the biggest business law firms in the Tampa Bay area. We have an office here in Tampa, Tallahassee, and in Sarasota. We have over 300 lawyers, and then our lobbying practice is local, state, and federal. You may have heard Bob Buckhorn, former mayor of Tampa. He's on our team. Rick Kreisman from City of St. Pete. So we have a very diverse team, bipartisan in nature. I 25 years inside and outside of government, started at Florida State, went up to Washington, worked for Congress 3 different times, and maybe a little closer to family. But I'm back and forth between Tampa, Bay Area, Tallahassee, and Washington, and have kind of experience in all 3 levels. So what we do as a firm for you is primarily appropriations. We bring home the bacon from the state. And we have some other tertiary duties that we work with the city manager on and the council as a whole. We work, with the agencies up in Tallahassee right now. You have a grant request in front of DEP. We're working with the secretary and the legislative affairs about your issues and why it's important, especially after a disaster, and the talk of resiliency that's in the state capitol right now. We also, give advice on and work with Pinellas County if you have issues in front of them. We have great relationships with the county commissioners and administration, and we always like to help there. As well, my background's in federal work, and so, there's a lot of changes in Washington, D.C. right now. It's important to be plugged in. So while it's not in our official scope, I always, I'm a one-stop shop, and I always like to be responsive to whatever your needs are. So as you as a council have voted, I think it was in December, maybe, to approve your policy priority of an appropriation this year, and we're working on the water reclamation facility for $2.1 million, a state request. Senator Hooper is our sponsor in the Senate, and Adam Anderson is our sponsor in the House. We just had Senator Hooper in the office for lunch today. Thank you for bringing me up a little bit early in the agenda. So I was in Tallahassee for lunch. I'll be here, and then I'll be driving back because we're in the middle of a committee week right now. So I appreciate you bringing me up. Senator Hooper is certainly supportive, so is Mr. Anderson. But it is a process that is relationship-driven, process-driven, and ultimately you have a year-round effort. Now, in your packet, I believe you have kind of a memo from us that outlines the steps. I'm not going to go through word for word, but I'd love to answer questions if you have it. But essentially, we meet with the city manager. We talk about what are the priorities for session. In this session, for example, emergency or disaster response is going to be a big deal. Making sure that that our cities and our counties that were affected by the two hurricanes have the resources they need to repair and rebuild. So that's an example. But we meet with city manager. We find out what is the art of the possible, what are the city's needs. We go through this process of filling out, once we determine that and you all vote on it, we fill out the House and Senate forms. We seek sponsorship, which is not always guaranteed. Senator Hooper, for example, is the appropriations chair. He typically, as an appropriations chair, he typically doesn't take on a lot of projects because he's the one that's deciding on them, which is good news for us because he took it, but not, he's not doing that a lot. So we're in good position there. We then start, as soon as we get this form submitted, we go through a subcommittee process, a full committee process. We meet with, and there's a conference committee, and we meet with all of these members and staff to convince them of how important your project is. Ultimately, there's a budget that comes out. They have to reconcile. We are making sure that you're at the top of the list. And then once it's passed into law, at the end of session, we have to sustain a governor's veto. And I think last year we did have a veto. This year we're working extra hard to make sure that the governor understands the priority. I think because it is resiliency and because it's and because we had to undergo that veto last year, I think we're in a good position. Nothing's guaranteed in state government, but we're in a good position. And then I thought I might just, you see the session and the timeline. We're kind of in committee week 4 officially, but there's been this interruption with special sessions. I'm sure you've seen it in the news. Happy to comment or not comment on it, but it has been a little bit disorientating, and so we're officially in committee week 4, but it's really when they're starting to get going now. And then we'll start regular session, which goes for 60 days on March 4th, and then we'll be sine die, the budget will be passed, we'll be in there, and on May 2nd, and then we'll go and convince the governor not to veto our appropriations again. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention some of the high-level themes of this session, and then I'll take your questions. Clearly, disaster recovery is going to be a big focus this year. In fact, there was talk of a special session just to pass funding for disaster recovery. They're going to do it in regular session now, but it's a major theme. Senator Hooper talked about it. In fact, budget items that are not related to disaster recovery are going in second tier. So you'll see that. As far as city and county, I know you work with the Florida League of Cities. There might be another fix to live local on affordable housing. You're going to see Senator Sigley introduce legislation on permitting reform. This is the idea that there's backlogs on permits, and so this might be a preemption issue that you want to think about. Supposedly, we haven't seen the legislative language yet. It's only during declared emergencies, but we may want to keep track of that. We'll see a lot of talk about cutting the budget to move out of the COVID era and get back into strong fiscal condition. The kind of the running joke, and I know I'm in a public forum, but the running joke in Tallahassee is, they're always talking about, cutting, and there is plenty in reserves, there's plenty in tax relief, but you'll see that talked about a lot. On education, you'll see some major adjustments in choice vouchers. So there's this move towards choice. It's been more expensive than they thought, so there's going to be a budget cutting exercise there potentially. And then you've heard a lot about Surfside and condo fixes. You'll see that during regular session. The governor's budget did come out yesterday. Lots of tax relief. As far as affordable housing, he asked for fully funding SHIP and SAIL. Home hardening, he proposed more for residents home hardening. And then there's the litany of issues: education, transportation, law enforcement, environment. Those are all contained in his budget. But again, those are just suggestions for the legislature. And this year it's going to be a little bit more contentious than in past years with the governor. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions. I hope that helped. But yeah.
Thank you for the update. Do we have any questions? No? Councilor Gannon, go ahead.
I don't want to, did you guys have questions?
No, it was the point to you.
Oh, it was
because
the
you
point.
did.
It was the point.
Good. So Katie has something to ask.
Thank you so much for coming. This is really important. A couple of things that you mentioned immediately made me light up because, we have infrastructure projects, but then also we have, storm-related infrastructure projects. You mentioned the wastewater treatment plant and the $2.1 million. And as we continue forward in these infrastructure needs, they keep getting more expensive. And I think it was 2 sessions ago, infrastructure, rebuilding roads, that was, a huge priority. Right. Do you think that we still stand to make progress on the WRF plant ask?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is you saw a lot of emphasis on infrastructure because the federal government passed the Infrastructure Reduction Act, which poured billions of dollars to state and local governments. Okay. So it's kind of like the COVID relief money. There was money to go around, and so
we love that ARPA money.
yeah, right. And you took advantage of it, and it did a lot of good.
Yeah.
Yes, I think you'll see. It's always a balance between tax relief and infrastructure. And infrastructure can be in all kinds: electrical, transportation, bridges, even environment, can go into that bucket because of Lake O and everything in the Everglades. So you'll see this interplay between it. But yeah, I think so. Look, we've done a lot of work on Douglas Road. I know we've put in our work on making sure that work with Pinellas County gets fully funded. Yeah. Those are important for not only us as a city council, but all of the community to make sure that we can keep the economic vitality going of the city. I know this is a huge manufacturing emphasis, and so we're going to work to do that.
Yeah, you mentioned Douglas Road. That's another really important project because we actually had flooding on Douglas Road, which a lot of people didn't expect during, Hurricanes Helene and Milton. We had, businesses over there, with water because we had the flash flood in between. So it wasn't necessarily hurricane related. The flash flood was in there too and caused a great deal of damage to businesses in that area. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
And you'll see, let me just mention, you'll see some of the emergency funding or the relief funding. They might take a significant amount of money and just give more to agencies that are like DEP and other DOT that are funding these grant programs, but push more money to it. Instead of doing individual appropriations and sorting through those, they're going to push them. They're going to push a lot of money to the agencies.
Okay.
So that'll be even more important, the agency engagement and making sure
Which
that
you
we're
do.
Yes, right. Which making sure we're at the top of the list of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know on social media, we've been kind of encouraging our residents to apply for, is it the SHIP grants and some of the other programs that are, now available, but if they had even more funding, that would be incredible because
Right.
people are still rebuilding. You mentioned the permitting reform and preemption. Can you talk a little bit about that? And can you talk about the, we got a memo about a week ago that all of a sudden all of our federal funding needed to be examined. And then the next day it was canceled. Can you talk about some of that volatility, the permitting reform, and how we can give our residents some level of assurance that things aren't as volatile as they may seem in the news?
Yeah, no, I get it, and we've, especially having a federal focus, I've been spending a lot of time with the Trump administration directives, let's say. So the Trump administration executive order and OMB memo asked for all federal funding to stop flowing. That was put on hold by the courts 2 different times. He then withdrew it. So right now there is not a preemption on the federal funds flowing down. What they're trying to get at, best I can tell, is reaction to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives, and they're trying to very broadly root that out. Like it or love it, or hate it, I should say. It's real in this administration, and other things are getting caught up in it.
Like the State Street Ditch Project?
Yes, right. And so I think there was someone recognized very early on that this is going to have unintended consequences, and they pulled it back. So I don't think you'll see that again. You'll still see DEI initiatives to be rooted out, but I don't think it's going to be as broad-based as it was. Okay. And then what was the second part of that?
Just permitting. For example, our permits are handled mainly through the county. We have, fence permits, but people are talking about building permits for their homes.
Right.
So, assurance with compliance with the Florida Building Code and the county is one thing, and our residents are, using us as the intermediary to, basically show up with their packet of completed information to the county to get that permit done.
Yeah. So first, I haven't seen any legislation. And Senator DeSigley made this comment that he's working on the legislation. I would suggest that we engage with him on the front end. But what I understand to be is after the storms came through and there's a backlog of permits of people that want to rebuild, in his view, and whether it's at the local county level or the state DEP level.
We could use some more of those people.
Right. He wants to try to streamline that process in the wake of a storm. So this is not preemption in a normal day circumstance.
Okay.
This is in response to a storm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Those are all the questions that I had, guys.
Andrew?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
So one quick question, for week 2, committee week, I was up in Tallahassee.
Okay, you didn't call me.
Excuse me. I was at Ron Pierce's office. Are you still upstairs?
No, we've moved offices.
Yeah, I was looking for you guys, and
So we're across the street in the High Point building. We just opened a new office. It's about the 14th floor. We're brand new, and we'd welcome you there, any of you, when you're in Tallahassee. Work through the city manager, let us know, and we'll be happy to show you around, give you a place to work from. There's lots to do downtown now, so it's very
I wanted
busy.
to also mention, when I was visiting with Ed Hooper, and he mentioned the $2.1 million grant, excuse me, he mentioned you several times and said, what a great job you're doing for the city of Oldsmar, and I just wanted to relay that to you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but other than that, Councilmember Gannon answered all my questions, so you did a great job.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks again for coming.
Thanks a lot.
All right, and item 4, consider appointments of Jeff Reed as a regular member and Lou Curto as an alternate member to the Veterans Advisory Board. This is a new agenda item. Are both of you here?
See one?
All right. Jeff, you want to come up?
Oh, no.
This is a, come on up and just tell us a little about yourself. Welcome.
My name's Lieutenant Colonel retired Jeff Reed. I was in the Army 28 years. I was in all the components, to include the IRR. I live in Palm Harbor, but you make it so I can be on the Veterans Council, and I was approved by the Veterans Council last week. So they said it was optional to come, so I figured it was better to come to see if you guys had any questions of me. I just really want to give back to my community. I grew up in a small town in Missouri, and I know that being a part of your community is a key to success, to help other people.
So I did watch the Veterans Advisory Board, and I did see your speech. I was really impressed. I really was.
Thank you.
Of what you had to say to the board. And I want to just say thank you for volunteering, and thank you for all your service. Is there anybody else who'd like to jump in?
Now that he's here, I think we should like drill him with questions, right?
You want
It's
to?
optional.
It's fine, I'm used to it. I worked at the Pentagon, so.
There you go.
Thank you so much for your service all the way around, Jeff, honestly.
Thank you.
What town in Missouri did you grow up in?
I grew up in Troy, Missouri.
Okay.
Then I lived in Independence when I was in the Missouri National Guard, so go Chiefs.
Oh, wow.
No, there you go. Bad subject.
That still stings a little.
Hey,
That's-
you guys got yours with Tom Brady, you know, hey, we accepted defeat that time.
Careful, there's 2 Bills fans up
We're
here.
Bills
Yeah, we're
fans.
Bills fans.
I can't help the Bills.
Is there a ref behind you who's going to throw a flag?
Maybe. Maybe, you never know.
Your resume is very impressive. Thank you.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So
Jeff.
moved.
Any other discussion?
I just want to make sure that the motion is to include both Jeff and Lou.
Oh, yes, because Lou's not here, and Lou will be our alternate.
Yes, that's the motion,
Thank you.
to include both.
That is the second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
Thank you
Welcome
very
and
much.
thank you.
I look forward to working with everybody.
Item 5 is interview the applicants for the Code Enforcement Board regular member and 2 alternate member vacancies. We received 4 applications for the vacancies for 1 regular board member for a new term expiring on March 1st of 2028, and 2 alternate member vacancies to fill unexpired terms expiring on August 17th, 2025. I will call upon each applicant in alphabetical order. And Mike Carroll, do you want to come to the lectern? And would you like to tell us a little about yourself? Sure. Come on up.
First off, I'm going to apologize. I got a double ear infection, so I can't hear and I mumble. So
Okay.
I'll do the best I can. That's why I came anyway. My name's Mike Carroll. I live at 375 Tavernier Circle. My married 34 years, got a 32-year-old son who also lives here with me. I'm a retired policeman from upstate New York, Syracuse. Not a Buffaloes fan, though. Sorry.
Orangeman.
What's that?
Orangeman.
Definitely an Orangeman fan. So
My
I did
niece
that.
goes to Syracuse, so we're good. We're in
Good
good shape.
man. There you go. So I did that, retired out, and then I went to work for Entergy in the nuclear field for training, specifically writing lesson plans, reviewing statutes, interpreting laws. Kind of went along with my law enforcement as an investigator stuff. Retired out from that, not planned. Got sick, had to retire out because of medical. Moved down here. I've established back into a house as opposed to a condo, and just looking forward to working with my community. I see a lot of good things here in Oldsmar. I love Oldsmar. Been coming back and forth here since '86 with my parents. I just want to help out. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you, Mike.
I've been on a bunch of, one other thing, I don't know if it matters. I've been on a bunch of boards, Port Authority of New York. I was vice chairman of that. Currently HOA president, 2 other locations, and a lot of smaller boards. So I have a pretty good rounded background on this stuff. But just want to help out. If I can help out, that'd be awesome, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here tonight to talk to you about it.
Any questions?
Any
for
questions
the
for me?
applicant? Anyone?
I have some.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So you kind of already answered a little bit why you want to serve. You want to be involved in the community.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about how we're doing with our code enforcement in the city of Oldsmar?
How are you doing?
not
So
meant-
the only thing I got to judge on, I don't have any personal issues with this, but I mean, I've been in contact with a bunch of businesses. I think like any organization that interprets rules and ordinances and does fines and things like that, I think we can always improve. I think that's the best way to say it. But is there things out in the community of restaurants and stuff complaining? Yeah. But anywhere I've lived, I'm sure it's the same thing. It's like anything. I think as long as it's fair and equitable, and there's transparency, which I do think you have a lot of transparency on that. Again, hopefully I can help improve it. If I can't, then we'll just keep doing a great job, I assume.
Okay. If your neighbor was out of compliance with code, how would you handle that? You personally?
As me personally, now.
Personally, before you're on the board,
So
how
going
would
back
you
to
handle it personally?
president of the HOAs, I do that on a daily basis, unfortunately, 2 different locations. My personal opinion is you go to them, if I'm not, as a board member, but as an individual, I'd knock on their door, hey, you got this going on. I even do it as an HOA president. I think everybody deserves a one-time, hey, did you realize what's going on here at your house? Do you realize it violates? And then you tell them what it is. Try the education part first. And then if you don't get a timely compliance, or he tells you, you know what, don't bother me or whatever like that, then you move to the second thing, and then we would send our 30-day notices and then follow up to make sure that they do their part.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody likes HOA boards, I get it. Anything else?
Vice
Any other
Mayor,
questions for
anything?
anybody?
I don't like HOA boards. But
And
no,
I don't
have no
blame you.
questions.
And why I'm still on them, I don't know that answer either.
My first job out of law school was at a condo and HOA foreclosure firm, so
Ooh.
I've got a personally deep-rooted dislike for.
Yep.
But everybody who serves on them, I think you're wonderful. I'm just, not for me. That's all I had.
But they don't serve on them, and that's the problem. That's why I'm still on them, because nobody wants them. And
Statement.
if you don't do it, it goes into receivership, and we don't want that to happen.
That's true.
I got too many good friends in both of my HOAs now that somebody has to stand up and do the right things. And I know I've done the right things by them, and I've improved the communities I live in. So,
Great answer. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Councilmember Gannon?
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to ask if you had a general understanding of Oldsmar's code enforcement process, that it's complaint-based and also observation-based, but it sounds like you do.
yeah, I do. I realize it's a board capacity as opposed to the guy, the person that actually goes out and enforces the rules. I'm assuming that it's the guy, when he gets the violation, been notified, he's coming to us and appeal it, or, hey, I didn't know, or the fines are too excessive, or things like that. I will be brushed up on all your zoning laws.
course.
Because of where I am now. I'm new to that neighborhood, and we have some issues, of course, like every place does, and
Right.
you don't want to talk about something unless you know it, and I'm in the process of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just wanted to ask about that because, some people think that it's kind of like a lose-lose, right? You're either doing too much code enforcement or you're doing not enough code enforcement. But it is important that the members of our board understand that sometimes they don't meet because our goal is to get to compliance, not necessarily to get to a code enforcement meeting where there's a decision on fines and that kind of thing.
And in the end, what is code enforcement designed for, right? In my opinion, I think it's to help keep my value of my property. It's when people drive through my neighborhood shopping for houses, they don't see the broken down fences or the algae covered houses or tore up driveways or campers or boats, if that's part of the violations in your community. As long as it's fair and equitable, and I'm sure you have plenty of people that ensure that happens, I think it's a necessary evil. Not always popular one.
Not always
But-
popular.
I've never had a popular job,
I was going to say that is true.
unfortunately, but that's just the way it was. So,
Those are my only questions. Thank you. Mayor.
Councilmember Knapp?
He kind of answered it because I was just kind of wanting to see if he had an understanding of the role of a code enforcement board member, but I think he touched on it.
and if I didn't answer right, you're more welcome to ask me after, but I will promise you, I don't know everything you're supposed to know about the position. Again, for the purpose of helping, hopefully. So,
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much.
thank you, folks. Thanks for giving me the time. Appreciate it.
All right, next we have Cheryl Florco. Did I say that right? Florco.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Cheryl Florco. I have lived in Oldsmar now for 3 years. I've lived in Pinellas County for 23 years and over in Tampa area for about 4. So love my Florida and I really love my Oldsmar. I finally moved in and felt like I could take a little bit of time to volunteer. So this is kind of my first foray into volunteerism within Oldsmar. But I was very active in the disaster relief with my church, Community United Methodist Church. So that got me excited and anxious. And when I saw this board posting, this council alternative posted, I just applied. So I want to help my community. I want to, still, even though I'm retired, I want to make a difference in any way I can. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy working with people. And I think there's a lot of fair and optimistic work to be done here. So I am asking to be an alternate.
Okay.
This is my kind of a resume. Anyway, I've mainly been in banking in my life. And then before that, real estate. I'm currently kind of still in real estate because I've been remodeling homes that we have bought for rental, and then some renting and some selling them. So I've been very busy doing that the last 6 years. Other than that, my husband and I live at 642 Shore Lake Place, right off of Kilsyth area, backing up to the lake there. And we're both enjoying the community. We love our home, our neighbors, and I'm getting to know the council a little bit. That's about it.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions?
Yes, I'm going to ask you the same exact questions.
Okay.
So how do you feel about the job we're doing for code enforcement in the city of Oldsmar?
I think it could be improved.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate at all? You don't have to. It's not meant to be a
No.
get you question. I just am curious, trying to learn more about.
No, I have asked for some feedback from the code enforcement officer, and it wasn't very responsive.
Okay.
So I think there's some improvement that can be done there, but I mean, not anything drastic or anything. I just think we need to work a little bit more together to understand what needs to be done.
Okay. If your neighbor was out of code, how would you handle that personally?
If I were a neighbor, what? Excuse me?
If your neighbor was out of code, so say they have, I don't know, their fence falling down or something, how would you personally handle that?
Personally, I would notify the code enforcement officer because really, I don't want to be at odds with my neighbors. But if I see something that is really not good and not good for the neighbors around or the valuation or whatever, where it really knocks down our valuation, then I would mention that to him. And I went through a learning process, some things that I thought would be not lawful within the code enforcement really were. So that was kind of a surprise,
Yeah.
but
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
No questions.
All right. Anybody? We good? Oh,
Same question. I was just going to ask if you had a general understanding of how code enforcement works in the city of Oldsmar.
I'm getting more and more of that. So I
good.
have learned, just through talking with Greg a little bit too, and then I did read some of what I could online. But I do feel like I have a small amount that needs to grow.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Knapp, anything?
Just, same thing, what is your understanding of how the role of a code enforcement board member is?
I really can't answer that. I'm not sure what my duties would be. I would have to read up on that and understand that better.
Sure.
But I'm very willing to learn about that.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you volunteering your time and wanting to be involved in the city of Oldsmar. It's very important. That's where I started. And I just think it's really important. And you're right, you will learn because you said you wanted to be an alternate and it will take time, but at least you have the courage and the willing to come up here and be a member. So I just want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right, next we have Stephen Phillips. Come on up. Tell us a little about yourself.
My name is Stephen Phillips. I live at 513 Tangerine Drive, in case anybody forgot 20 minutes ago. I've lived there since 1984. I spent my younger years raising my family. I was very involved with the community of Oldsmar with the Little League. I served on the Little League board, the original Little League board that was incorporated. My son played baseball. I remember Andrew Knapp. I was involved in Little League. I remember his name. I never saw him play, but I remember his name for some
You wouldn't
reason.
have wanted to see.
I'm retired. I started a business and owned an air conditioning company here that my son now owns and runs here in Oldsmar. The business has been here since 2000. I serve on several HOA boards of communities in the area, East Lake Woodlands, Gardens of Forest Lakes. I've been president and secretary of the Oldsmar Rotary Club, which I'm still a member of. And I'm retired, so I'm looking for things to do with my life. And I'm, just looking to help the city out in any way I can. And that's really about it. I live in the Harbor Palms, and I've looked at the city code as far as ordinances over there, and I've even talked to Felicia about it. And, I understand what the Code Enforcement Board does, and I'm just looking to help. I'm not looking to cause any trouble or create any issues. I do think there's some ordinances that are kind of contradictory that, maybe need to be addressed at some point in time in the future, whether whatever happens to them. But that's really about it,
All right, we're going to start out with Councilmember Valerie Tedeschi.
And before she asked me that same question, if my neighbor had a problem, I'd go over there in the middle of the night on his front door, pound on it, and tell him to get in. I've got an issue with somebody that moved in across from my house, a tenant that keeps parking behind my driveway, but I don't confront them. Live and let live.
Is that your official answer?
What's that?
I said, is that your official answer?
What's that?
I said, is that your official answer? That's your official answer to
Your
my question?
official answer.
No. If
off the record.
somebody if they're out of code compliance, I would probably politely talk to them. I mean, depending if I knew them, how well I knew them. If they were new,
course.
I'd probably go over and mention to them that, this, it really is not allowed. You might want to, address it to them and let them know in compliance. So it really depends on the neighbor. You know, if I got a neighbor that's carrying a shotgun around, I don't know whether I'd go over and say hello to him.
Fair point.
But, yeah, that's it.
That's a fair response. How do you feel about how the city of Oldsmar is doing with code enforcement?
I think they're doing a good job. Like I said, my neighborhood it doesn't have a HOA, and then it's, you know, I got my opinions about it. I think it's going downhill in the past 10 years, but there's nothing really in the regulations that can stop it. So, you know, like I said, it is what it is, and I'm not going to move. I love Oldsmar. That's why I've been here since '84. I love my development, and you know, I do what I can do. You know, I talk to the people I can talk to about issues, and once I can't, I don't. And like I said, but I think that the city of Oldsmar is well maintained. I think code enforcement's doing their job, and you know, like anything, there's probably areas that can be improved, and if I can help out in any way, keeping it going or making improvements, I'm willing to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
No questions, thanks.
All right, anybody down here?
It does sound like you have a general understanding of how code enforcement works in Oldsmar.
Oh, yes, I do.
Complaint and observation based, and yeah,
Yes, yes.
thank you for coming.
I'm good.
I just want to say thank you for.
Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to say, Steve, thank you for following up too on the Harbor Palms entrance. It looks great, and thanks for coming over.
It does. When I go home tonight, I'm gonna see if those lights are on.
There you go.
There you go.
The new light pole. All right, thank you very much. Next, it's Ralph Richardson. Come on up. Ralph, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good.
Hi, Ralph Richardson. I live on 611 Cobia Way in Gull Air Village. Spent a long career in manufacturing and facility maintenance. I've been involved with the architectural committee and the compliance committee in our community, and I'd like to gain more experience of the city and better understanding of how they interact with us, and really haven't had a lot of issues, but we do sometimes with people, and they don't understand when we're trying to tell them they can't do things, so that's about it.
Do you serve on the HOA board for Gull Air?
I did for a while.
Okay, that's right, I remember that,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, any other questions for the applicant? Valerie, you want to go first?
Sure. How do you feel the city of Oldsmar is doing with code enforcement?
Other than one incident in the park where we had an individual that was having a hard time getting a project improved in the city, and the officer wouldn't come out and talk to him at his property, and I know he eventually come to this board and was able to get it resolved and get the work done. That's the only negative thing I've got to say.
If your neighbor was out of compliance with code, how would you handle that personally?
Today, we do it all the time. We go to somebody personally and tell them what's going on and ask them to fix it. I mean, and if that doesn't work, we go to the board and let them take the next steps.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
No questions other than, what's the best Citizens Academy class?
I think it was the one we were in.
I believe that's true. Thanks so much. Thanks, Ralph.
Thanks.
Councilor Gannon?
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to ask you if you have a general understanding of how code enforcement works within the city of Oldsmar.
Yeah, I assume that pretty much runs like our compliance committee runs. When you have issues, you sit down as a group and you have a conversation and work through how it's going to end up. Basically, you come up with a consensus of the group of what you should do.
Thank you.
Councilor Knapp, anything?
Set.
All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
so I've got one question. Do you want to be a full-time or an alternate?
I'm open.
You're open?
Yeah,
Okay.
Whatever
And then-
the city needs at this point, I'd just like to get involved and do whatever I can.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for coming up. All right, I want to go back to Stephen Phillips. Do you want to be a full-time or alternate?
Oh, I'll do anything.
Anything? And then Mike?
Full-time, but alternate, I would accept.
Okay, all right. So then we have four candidates, so we need to open the ballot. Do you have a ballot? We're going to vote?
If council would like to make a motion, they can, or I do have ballots for council.
I'm going to open it up. How do you guys want to do this? We're only picking three. We're going to pick one regular full-time and two alternates. Do we want to do a ballot, or do we want to just, someone make a motion for 3 candidates?
I feel like the ballots would be helpful,
I think so.
only because
I agree.
you have a ballot for alternate and a ballot for,
I do.
Yeah.
oh, okay, so she has one for regular and then one for, okay.
Yeah.
Regular
Got it all
first,
figured out.
So
and then I
do
can hand out the
the
alternates.
regular first.
And,
then
and
you-
remember, Cheryl did mention she wanted to be an alternate, so we know that.
Got it. Okay, so
But
take
the
the
other
one that has
3
your
all
name
said
on
they
it.
would do either or. They would do
Take the one that has-
full-time or alternate.
She's got it in order too, as
She's
it gets
got it in
passed
order.
down. Just take one off the top. Equal opportunity satisfaction.
Once you voted, if you can just pass them down, we'll go ahead and send them to the clerk, and she'll determine who it is.
One on this one? We're doing it
This
again?
is just for the full-time.
One-
This is just
member.
one
One
for the
regular.
full-time.
Full-time.
Okay.
Fine.
Yep.
Board member.
Full board.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for,
Put something on it.
I'd recognize that X anywhere.
okay, this is for the full-time. Garcia will read the results.
Thank you, Mayor. We had 4 votes for Mike Carroll and 1 for Ralph Richardson. So Mike Carroll is the selected applicant for the regular member position.
Thank you, folks, I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Mike. All right, now we have 2 alternates.
Strike him from the alternate
Crossing him
ballot.
off, yeah, crossing
All right.
Mr. Carroll off from the.
Almost took 2. No cheating.
You don't have to fold it.
It's a ballot.
I folded it twice to make it harder for.
Record.
Yeah.
Feels like high school student count.
Like we're passing notes.
Passing notes.
So the council has selected Cheryl and Ralph to be the alternate members. Ralph had 5 votes and Cheryl had 3, with Stephen having 2.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you,
Thank
for
you, all
for volunteering. We really do appreciate it, the whole city council. Thank you. Pardon me? Absolutely. Come on up to the podium, so you can be on speaker, absolutely. And Stephen, you're on another board
I
anyways.
just want to, first of all, I want to thank everybody for taking the opportunity to apply for a job on one of the boards. There's a lot of boards. Secondly, I am the chairman of the Code Enforcement Committee. So I think the excellent, yeah, you are lucky. Anyway,
Does onboarding start now?
Yes.
See you in the hallway.
And I was also a CAM for 24 years. So also, I want to mention to you, the very next meeting is March 6th at 4 o'clock. See you there.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Right here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rhonda.
All right. Great job, council. Great job, staff, everyone. Great job. Next is our city attorney, Tom Trask, item 6.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a public hearing. This is a public hearing on the second reading of ordinance 2024-19. I'll read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2024-19, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending the definition of substantial improvement in section 6.14.1 of Article 6, flood control, stormwater management, and wetlands protection of Part 3 of the Land Development Code of the City of Oldsmar, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. This is the second and final reading of this ordinance. I don't believe there's going to be a staff presentation, but I know that Tatiana is here in the audience if you have questions.
All right, this is a public hearing, so I will open up the public hearing. Is there any member of the public wishing to be heard on this item? Anyone? All right, I will close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion on this item or any questions for staff? All right, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Graber,
Yes.
Councilmember Tatazeski,
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon,
Yes.
Mayor Siraki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-19 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you very much. Item 7.
Mayor, council members, this is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance 2024-21. I'm going to read that by title only. Ordinance 2024-21, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending section 6.11 variances and appeals of Article 6, flood control, stormwater management, and wetlands protection of the Land Development Code of the City of Oldsmar to designate a special magistrate in lieu of a variance board to hear and decide requests for appeals and requests for variances from the strict application of Article 6, as well as provide appeal procedures, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. This is the second reading of this ordinance. It will require a third reading on February 18th because there has been a substantive change in the ordinance since it's first read. The substantive change is on the page 130 of 177 of the packet, or page 2 of the ordinance, where we start with the special magistrate and appeal procedures. We thought it would be important for those procedures to be in the code so that the public knew exactly what they were as the special magistrate hears and considers both the applications on our notices of appeal and the variances. I don't believe that there is going to be any presentation on this being the second reading. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I think Tatiana will answer any questions as well. But again, this will come back to you for a third reading on February the 18th.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Are there anyone wishing to be heard on this item? I will close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Graber,
Yes.
Councilmember Tatazeski,
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon,
Yes.
Mayor Siraki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-21 passes on a second reading with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item 8.
This is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance 2025-01. I'll read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2025-01, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Section 10-113 of Division 5, Criminal Provisions of Article 2, Adult Entertainment Code of Chapter 10, Amusements and Entertainments of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar to prohibit persons under the age of 18 years of age to enter, remain in, or purchase goods or services at an adult entertainment establishment, to prohibit persons under the age of under 21 years of age to be an employee of an adult entertainment establishment, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. This ordinance, this is the second final reading of this ordinance. It was first read on January 21st. There have been no changes since the first reading.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this item? I will close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Tadasesky?
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-1 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 9.
So this agenda item is to consider adopting Resolution 2025-02, appointing the local canvassing board. I'll read that resolution by title only. Resolution 2025-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar pursuant to Section 6.06 of the City Charter, appointing members of the canvassing board for the March 11th, 2025 municipal election, providing an effective date. You'll remember that because of the fact that the mayor and Councilmember Gannon are running for the mayor's seat, they cannot act as canvassing board members. At the last meeting, there wasn't a consensus that Amber Stevens and Joe Santana would fill those two positions. So the canvassing board pursuant to this resolution would be Steve Graber, Valerie Tadasesky, Andrew Knapp, Amber Stevens, and Joe Santana. So just need a motion to approve the resolution.
I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this?
Amber and Joe are on board? We're all
Yep.
set with them? Okay,
Mhm,
just
yes.
making
I
sure.
confirmed with Joe.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Great job today, Tom, as
very
always.
much.
All right, thank you. Item number 10 is Felicia Donnelly, our city manager.
Item number 10, Mayor, is to consider adopting Resolution 2025-01, creating a nonprofit special events fee waiver policy. Traditionally, the City Council has provided partial fee waivers to nonprofit organizations to host special events on city property to enhance residents' recreational experiences and to bring visitors to Oldsmar. To formalize the process, City Council met in a work session on November 14th, 2024, to discuss and develop standardized requirements for an organization to be eligible for fee waiver consideration. Following the meeting, staff developed a policy for consideration that will formalize the evaluation process by establishing eligibility criteria, a licensing fee requiring financial documentation, the application process, and the conditions of approval. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Can I just go ahead and read that resolution by title only?
Oh, yes.
So this is Resolution 2025-01, a resolution to the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, adopting a special event fee waiver policy and providing for an effective date hereof. That was a reading of Resolution 2025-01 by title only, and that there would be a motion to approve this resolution.
It would be a motion to approve the resolution.
It would be a second.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on that?
Thank you for all the work you put into this, Chip and staff. Well done.
Absolutely. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is City Clerk, Kristen Garcia. Do you have anything for us?
I have no items this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Well, I love your new timer.
Thank you.
Little buzzer. Bzzz. Thank you. All right, next is item 11. It's request to excuse absence of Vice Mayor Steve Graber.
It's Graber.
For the January
Ben
21st,
Graber.
25 council meeting. I guess you were not feeling well, but I'm glad you're back.
Feeling well or not feeling well is putting it mildly, Mayor. I equated it to being jealous of somebody who had enough energy to take a shower. I could not move, so it was. I'm not at 100% yet, so it's been going on about a month. So don't get it, but it was. It was the first full council meeting that I had missed since first getting elected in 2021. So it was an odd experience watching, but I did watch.
And the whole family had it too.
Yeah, when the
What I
kids get
understand.
sick, they want to sleep with mom and dad, so all four of us got sick at the same time. So it was just an accordion effect of illness, and I got it worse because, I guess I'm the old man in the house, so that's what happened, but,
Well, you don't look old.
well, thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, item 12, discussion and consideration of a letter to President Donald Trump requesting FEMA policy and program changes. And Councilmember Gannon, would you like to start?
Sure, yes, thank you, Mayor. So attached to this agenda item is a letter. This issue was brought to my attention by a resident, actually, who is going through the process of permitting, of the substantial damage assessment and dealing with the continuing hurricane that is happening just in paper. And I am also aware that other cities had drafted various letters similar in format among themselves, but not similar to this letter that's before you. And so I worked with our city manager, Felicia Donnelly, and in conjunction with our city attorney, Tom Trask, to develop a letter that was a little bit different than some of the letters that, and I have some, and I was going to just briefly kind of talk about them. And this was in the news, so y'all might have heard about it. There were a couple letters, for example, from the city of Treasure Island and the city of St. Pete Beach. And, the regarding line for both of them, reads, urgent request to extend federal waivers on permits and FEMA regulations to Florida. Please extend your federal waivers on permits and regulations to Florida as part of FEMA accountability. And these two letters generally talk about the heartbreak and frustration that the residents of these cities are similarly experiencing. And just sort of blanket ask, the president, you've supported North Carolina and California with various waivers and resources. The people of Florida, could you please address us as well, help us? And these are, I think, important. But the letter that the city manager and the city attorney and I have here has more specific issues to Oldsmar's experiences with Oldsmar's residents and our staff and the challenges that we're seeing specifically here. So a couple of things to highlight, please continue to expand the individual and household assistance programs, extending temporary housing to help displaced residents, help the city with its eligibility period to, help us with the funding to accommodate that ongoing recovery cost, because our local government has to continue to deal with this. Help improve coordination. We've already heard actually tonight from JD about the coordination issues. The substantial damage estimator tool is a clunky, kind of outdated format for estimating damages. And similarly, number 6, the cost estimator, having a standardized method. So for example, drywall costs, X amount of dollars. The going rate for installation of drywall is Y, and then the resident could just put in exactly how many square feet of drywall they need. So that it's not, okay, one person's coming in and I have this amount and this estimate from a contractor, and then somebody has a different estimate. So, and then of course the last one is data sharing. So I'm bringing this to y'all because I think that it would be effective to advocate as a council on behalf of our city and behalf of our residents and do what we can, similar to the code change that we did for the substantial improvement, to advocate for specific solutions as opposed to these. I think these letters are helpful, don't get me wrong. I applaud these cities for taking efforts on behalf of their citizens, and I don't think that this is mutually exclusive. I think, other letters or bringing other options to advocate for our residents are great ideas. Let's do what we can. So I was just wanted to get your guys' feedback, see what you thought.
Okay, any comments?
Anybody?
In reviewing the other letters that you're referencing, I just want to say I appreciate everyone who had a hand in making sure our letter was maybe less emotional and more business related. I think it's helpful how thorough it is and very specific on what our residents need the most help with. So thank you to everyone and all the city staff for making sure that we covered all of the areas that are necessary. You guys have, you're handling this firsthand with our residents as they come in for the permitting process, and so you know exactly what issues they're having. We're hearing about some of them as council members, but you guys know firsthand, and so thank you for making sure this was comprehensive.
Vice Mayor, any comments?
I'm completely in favor of moving forward with it, and just a thank you to Councilmember Gannon for getting this in front of us to send to DC. And when you put emotion goes without saying after storms, after any sort of tragic event, that whether it's in California or North Carolina or here. but just putting the information on the page and saying, this is what we're asking for specifically. Could you please review it? I just thought that was a wonderful way to approach it, but that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Knapp?
Just a couple things. I'm completely in favor and behind the message here in our letter, and I appreciate it being detailed as far as what it's one thing to just say we need help, right? But being specific on making the ask of what we want and what we want to try to achieve, I think will go a long way. Short of having a bat phone line to the Oval Office, I think this is going to be the next best thing. Granted, there are a lot of different disasters all being dealt with simultaneously, but any assistance that we as a community and hopefully to help the state overall get some relief here or some traction on how to make this process run smoother will go a long way. So optimistic that it will help in some way, as you said, others all being off on the sounding board together.
Yeah.
So I just have a couple comments real fast. The Mayor's Council, Pinellas County, we had a conference call, we had a Zoom call today with all the mayors at the beaches, basically all the cities that got flooded. And we are actually together doing this same type of letter. And I want to thank our city manager, Felicia Donnie. She shared this letter with all the mayors in Pinellas County. And as you said, some of the letters here from Treasure Island and St. Pete Beach were kind of aggressive, where ours is more in line with cohesiveness, let's work together. Right, just, working together. And we are actually taking some of these pieces from the city of Oldsmar's letter and putting it into a combined letter for all the mayors to sign in Pinellas County. And I'm going to add it to the tentative agenda so that I can read it to you. Our letter is not done or completed yet. The Zoom call that we had today was strictly talking about our letter. And then what was kind of interesting is the mayor doctor of Treasure Island and the mayor of Petrella of St. Pete Beach, they got on the call later after they had already wrote their letters and after they heard what we were saying about cohesiveness, working together, trying to, write one big letter for the entire Pinellas County who got flooded. And it went really well. We're not done yet. We're still working on it. But honestly, I'm in favor of this, Councilmember Gannon. I don't have a problem with it, but I do want to share what the mayors of the Pinellas County want to do, because I think that's a next step too. And anything we can help to get our citizens back in their homes, get any kind of funding for flood or hurricane, anything, we need it.
Do it.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next is council comments, and first I have, welcome back, Vice Mayor Steve Graber.
Thank you, Mayor. I was saying before the meeting, I haven't been here in a month, and it just, I thought about it, and I was like, wow, it's a month. But I was able to watch the council meeting that I missed. Thank you again for excusing my absence. I was able to watch the forum. I wasn't able to attend. My wife did. And just to all of the candidates, it's crunch time. Not that I have to tell you. There's only 2 more meetings before Election Day. And so I know everything's just kind of pushing forward. People are already starting to vote from what I've seen on social media. It's a nerve-wracking time. I know there's a lot of sleepless nights, but just my thanks to all of you for your raising your hand and saying, I want to either continue to serve the city of Oldsmar or I want to serve for the first time. So thank you very much for that. Was able to actually get out of the house and work Oktoberfest on Sunday. It was a lot of fun. It was a different sort of event. You could kind of, and I heard some of the people in the audience that were there just saying, yeah, I saw the signs, it was Oktoberfest, why are they having one? Of course, we changed it because of the hurricanes, because we had to cancel the one before. But just kind of nice to see after, especially like the cold weather, and I know there's no illness in my house, but there was illness that was running rampant from what I was, even people from my colleagues across the state. They're like, did your kids bring that home too? And it was a friend of mine in Miami. And I was just like, it's just everywhere. So, but just nice to kind of see everybody just sort of getting out and starting to move around. As the weather starts warming up, we're going to have more events. Speaking of which, my colleague Anna and her husband are bringing their kids to Oldsmar this weekend for the BMX event, staying here in Oldsmar. She has been in constant contact with me, asking where to eat, telling me where she's going to stay. Does Oldsmar have Uber and Lyft? I was like, well, we've got, horse and carriage, but we can probably, if I need to pick you up, yeah, I can come and get you. But she's really excited. So she will be there Saturday when I know I will be there. I'm guessing all of us will be there with our shirts on and doing our waves and saying hello to everybody. But just really exciting just to kind of get everybody back up and moving. But that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Andrew Knapp.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. So at the last meeting, I mentioned about the shift of the airport noise abatement task force to a working group. I was unable to attend that meeting. We've got some new leadership at work, so timing has been rather tight as of late. But I did get a message from one of the administrators there with the group. We do have a local resident, Kathy Mintier, that attends these meetings regularly. And they do have the ability to have citizen representatives instead of just people from the board. She's going to follow up on that with County Administrator Burton. But I'm going to flesh that out a little bit more before bringing that back as a potential agenda item, just to shift that responsibility if everybody can rally behind that. But I just want to make everybody aware of that, because as much as I am passionate about aircraft and flight and all that, it has been difficult to serve in that capacity. With that being said, I don't know if my wife is watching, but it's 3 days shy of us having met 10 years ago. I'm looking forward to the next 10 years and many more of adventure and getting out of not only the town, but the country early in the morning tomorrow. So that's all I have.
Where you going?
Costa Rica.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
safe travels.
Pura vida.
Very nice. Well deserved.
Ready to get out. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gannon.
Fine, wow. Thank you, Mayor. USA BMX this weekend was already brought up. Really looking forward to that. I am assuming you're not going to be there, so we won't need all of
You
the
won't need all
bubble
the
wrap.
extra EMS or.
You won't need any extra.
You're not going to be there?
He'll be in Costa Rica.
You're not going to go down the hill?
Doing other adventurous things and get.
Maybe he'll be ziplining. I don't even know if we're going down the hill. I was just teasing. But definitely looking forward to that. I know all of our residents and our local businesses are looking forward to that as well. I wanted to say thank you to the Chamber for hosting the Midwinter Oktoberfest. It was a fun time. I always am amazed by the stein holding. I think I figured it out, right? I've only observed, I've never tried it. But if you hold up higher from the shoulder and not the bicep, the women who held it up high from the shoulder seemed to have an advantage.
They were also cheating.
That's cheating? Okay, so that's
That'll be straight.
but I have a photo, the winner.
No, but two hands did even better. No, you can
I don't know much about holding steins, but anyway, it seemed like a really fun time, and it did feel like a nice return to some of our community events, which helped after, the hurricanes having the Winter Wonderland, and some of those events brought us together, and I really appreciated that. I was also going to bring up the next Suncoast League of Cities meeting isn't until February 21st, so I won't have a report on that until March. Let's see. I wanted to bring up we already talked about the church having their super party in the evening. The Women's Club is also having our super party at the State Street Center. Are you bringing a soup, Valerie, or are you?
I am.
Ooh, which one?
Marry me chicken soup.
Marry
Are
me
you making
chicken
one?
soup. I'm not making one this year. I won an award last year. I was third
Yeah,
place.
but I was hoping that sausage soup was so good.
You remembered. Aw.
She's got to leave room for the other women to win awards too.
I mean,
Win anything
Mayor
else
and I
you
have
got.
both been a little busy recently, so I haven't had time to make any soup. But yeah, I am looking forward to trying to get over there, because we'll be at BMX, but the Women's Club starts at 11, so we'll be running around a lot, and then having soup later in the evening. Thank you, Rhonda, for announcing that tonight so that everybody is aware. But other than that, it's good to see everybody. Happy almost Valentine's Day.
Wow, yeah. Well, thank you. So Paula's making a sausage soup since
I know.
since you're not going to be there. Your sausage soup won't be there.
And thank you to all. Paula did a great job this year of getting sponsors, which was a fantastic idea.
You know, she
for
was on the
Women's
phone
Club.
all night. She got all these $100 sponsors.
So the way that we use this, the Women's Club, sorry, this is like an aside. So the Women's Club takes the money that we earn from events like this or at the Gull Air Craft Festival where we sell the baked goods, and it goes back to the community in the form of a scholarship of, a young lady who would like to pursue, higher education or alternative education. And Paula was like, we should get sponsors. That way we're not relying only on, sales at the door for people to get, and then they can have 10 tickets or whatever, but nobody's gonna come in with 10 people coming for soup. So anyway, it will greatly increase the effectiveness, the financial effectiveness of the whole thing, so kudos
There
to
you
her.
go. Perfect. Well, I'm gonna go after the BMX to get soup. And then I'm going to get soup for you. I'm gonna be soup all day. So on Wednesday, the 28th, I chaired my first meeting with the PSTA.
Mayor?
And,
Skipping me?
oh, I did. You're right. I went right over you. Councilmember Valerie
The audacity.
Tedeschi. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
All
Yep.
good. I'm mostly echoing what was already said anyway, but I did have a chance to go to Oktoberfest on Saturday. It was actually my first Oktoberfest. We always want to go, and for whatever reason, October is usually really busy for us, and so actually moving was convenient for me. I mean, horrible for the reason it moved, but I actually got to go, and Bill and I did the bratwurst toss, which I was horrible at, and I was the first person out. I told him my whole goal was not to be the first person out. And then I failed terribly, but not a transferable life skill, so I think
At least you
I think
participated.
I'm okay. Yeah, I did participate. It was fun. So we had a good time, had a couple beers, enjoyed the food. So yeah, it was really good. You already mentioned the Women's Club Super Bowl party. So we're going to, I'm going to drop my soup off, run to BMX, go back to Super Party. So join us if you can. I am making Marry Me chicken soup. Come find out if it's any good, because I haven't done a test soup, so I don't know if it's good either. We'll find out.
That'll be good.
Yeah, come vote for me. And then, yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to a fun-filled weekend.
I apologize, but I'm looking forward to trying your soup.
Yeah, come try.
Can't wait. All right, so back to the PSTA. I chaired my first meeting for PSTA. They handed over the gavel. Great honor. I'm just really, really excited. The city of Oldsmar represents PSTA, and it was a great adventure. PSTA's Clearwater Ferry maiden voyage was last week Friday at 2 p.m. Down at the Sound. They had this bottle of, like, we thought it was a champagne bottle, but when they broke it on the ship, it was sugar. And it broke like glass, but when it hit the water, the sugar dissolved. It was really eco-friendly. But it was really a neat event. We took a boat ride over to the Clearwater Beach, and then we turned around and came back. It was a great maiden voyage. And it's gonna be going from the Sound area, which is like a little marina there by Coachman Park, over to Clearwater Beach. And once Dunedin, I believe they just got a grant to fix their marina pier. Once that's fixed, it'll go to Dunedin. And then I think we should someday in the future make it go to Safety Harbor and the Oldsmar. We can have a big ferry service all around.
How would it get to?
Go down and around.
You gotta go.
And then the other thing we discussed was the ferry is actually gonna be leaving from the pier at St. Petersburg Pier to Tampa. And we just got funding for that, so that's in the works, and that's gonna be coming soon. So a lot of good things happening in the PSTA world, but I'll keep you all updated. And then the last thing, I went Friday to the Oktoberfest meeting, or festival, and I did this thing where I had to put this, you know what I'm talking about?
I saw.
And he had to get the ball in the cup. Well, I didn't do very well. I didn't do very well, but I tried. I got it in once, and then I said, all right, this is enough. But success, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting that on. I thought it was very well attended. There was, quite a few people. I didn't happen to go Saturday or Sunday, but I'm glad I heard that you guys went. All right, that's all I have. So next, we're going to do the tentative agenda. Does anybody wish to add or take anything off the tentative agenda?
You did.
Yep, I'm going to add, please, the letter from the mayor's council. I don't have it. I hope to have it in 2 weeks, but if we could add that to the agenda, I'd appreciate it.
Is there some action that's going to be taking place on that?
Well, Felicia mentioned she wants it on the agenda so that we can all read it and I can approve it to sign it.
Oh, okay.
The item tonight was a discussion of the letter, and then we ended up making a motion to approve it. So do we want to call it a discussion of the mayor's letter?
Yes. Discussion of the letter from the mayor's council, yes, to President Trump.
I make a motion to approve the tentative agenda with the amendment of discussion of a letter from the mayor's council to President Trump.
I second that motion.
Did I do it okay?
Perfect. Is that okay? Sheila?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all. Great meeting. Meeting adjourned.
I do, I have it right here.
Ready to sign? We got a couple things, right?